Cracked earth, thirst, lack of water. This is what comes to mind when one thinks about desert. However, the Rann of Kutch is much more than that. The Rann of Kutch is spread over 30,000 square kilometers in the northwest of India, in the state of Gujarat, and some parts of it extend up to southern Pakistan. One part of the Rann borders the sea. In this vast desert, the easiest animal to sight from a distance would be the wild ass. The wild ass is in fact the star attraction of Rann. The wild ass, Equus hemionis cor, with a single population of less than 5,000 individuals, are found in and around Little Rann of Kutch and have been classified as near threatened by IUCN. A species with a single population in a locality can be easily wiped out by an epidemic. Until 1960, there was a small population of wild ass in Greater Rann of Kutch. The bonding between the members of the herd is often a great source of joy for the tourists. The wild ass displays no sexual dimorphism in its coloration, so both sexes look alike, and it's difficult to differentiate the male from the female from a distance. The wild ass show great cohesiveness and display behaviour that increases social tolerance. The wild ass is between 3.6 feet to 4.1 feet tall. An adult male can weigh up to 240 kilograms, while an adult female weighs up to 200 kilograms. The wild ass has a unique adaptation to survive in the desert. In the skull of the wild ass, the nasal bones are raised, forming a bump on the snout, which increases the nasal cavity. So when it inhales the dry desert air, the air gets moistened in the nasal cavity before entering into the lungs. The wild ass herds remain within 2 to 3 kilometers radius of a water source, and they intermittently rest throughout the day. The Rann also has a lot of grassland ecosystems. The bunny grassland covers a massive 2,500 square kilometers. The seeds of the grasses are a favorite food of cranes and other birds. About 70 species of grasses and 50 species of legumes are found in the Rann. Every year, a huge number of cranes and other migratory birds land up in these grasslands, as they find sufficient food and an ideal habitat. One can find the passage migrant, the grey hypercoleus, feeding on the berries of Salvadora persica. The scrubland may appear to some as not forests. However, careful scanning of the area may suddenly reveal some very interesting and rarely sighted birds and mammals. At first glance, one may mistake this short-eared owl to be dried-up vegetation. So good is the camouflage that the owl remains standing on the ground without it getting detected. Unless one is watching intently from a close distance or through a binocular, the movement of its eyelids won't be noticed. A slight movement in the bush may reveal a francolin, or if one is lucky, then one can sight a McQueen's bustard. At times, the tip of the ear of a fox may be all that one can initially see. However, careful approach and patience is often rewarded with excellent sightings. Among the lesser carnivores, there are two types of fox species found in the Rann of Kutch. The Indian fox, Vulpes bengalensis, can be easily distinguished from its black tail tip, and the desert fox or white-footed fox, Vulpes pusilla, has a white tail tip. They are cute, and they are intelligent as well. In the early morning, the Indian fox families are known to play with each other. They are curious, and they keep an eye on each other's antics. They feed on gerbils, ground-nesting birds, eggs, grasshoppers, and other insects. Along with the migratory birds, there are many raptors that use the grasslands as their wintering site. The raptors feed on other birds, carrion as well as on smaller mammals and carnivores. Many life and death battles play out in the Rann every day. Win, loss, life, or death depends on the combatants maximizing their natural strengths in these battles. So when an eastern imperial eagle tries to predate on a desert fox, the battle strategies decide the winner. The eastern imperial eagle is an amazing predator. It weighs between 2.45 kilograms to 4.55 kilograms and is between 28 inches to 35 inches tall. On the other hand, the Indian desert fox weighs between 1.8 to 3 kilograms. It is an omnivore and predates on rodents, gerbils, insects, as well as on fruits. So who will emerge victorious in a battle between eastern imperial eagle and desert fox? The eastern imperial eagle tries to use its strength of attacking from the sky and tries to flush out the desert fox from the vegetation. But the desert fox tries to remain within the dense patch of forest, so the eastern imperial eagle is forced to land close to the vegetation. The eagle tries to move step by step towards the desert fox, to scare it away and push it into the open. The fox, realizing its vulnerability in the open, dashes from one patch of the forest to the other. The eastern imperial eagle, using its massive wingspan of 5.9 to 7.1 feet, can dive from the sky at a high speed and with its talons and beak inflict a death blow on the desert fox. In the bush, the fox is agile. The fox can jump over vegetation, whereas the eagle can't fly within the thorny vegetation as its wings will get entangled. If that happens, then the predator will become prey. The Indian desert fox is choosing its battlefield based on its strengths. So the eastern imperial eagle has no choice but to land on its feet and come face to face with the desert fox. The battle is now even. The massive wingspan advantage of the eagle is neutralized. The eagle made many attempts to flush out the desert fox from the bush, after which it decided to quit the battle. By sticking to its strengths, the cunning desert fox survived to live another day. If one thinks of Rann as only a desert, then it is far from the truth. During the monsoons, the seawater as well as the rainwater flooded. As a result, many wetlands form inside the Rann, adding to the diversity in the habitats available for birds and wildlife. In some of the wetlands, you can find both the greater flamingos as well as the lesser flamingos. The flamingos wade in the shallow water with head upside down, sieving small invertebrates, algae, and other aquatic life from the muddy bottom using their tongue. The high concentration of beta-carotene in the algae imparts the characteristic pink color to the flamingos. According to folklore, these beautiful, tall, pink birds were the honored guests of King Fulani, who was born more than 1,000 years ago in 920 AD. This legendary King Fulani had forbidden the hunting of flamingos. Today they are protected under the Wildlife Protection Act. These days, flamingos are categorized as resident of Kutch by the Gujarat Forest Department, as large-scale breeding has been confirmed. Along with flamingos, large flocks of pelicans are also found in the various wetlands in Rann. During noon, the intensity of the thermals or updrafts of warm air rising to the sky is higher. So the pelicans use these thermals to fly up in a circular path without expending much energy. In the desert ecosystem of Rann of Kutch, the lives of camel, the proverbial ship of the desert, is closely interlinked with the wetlands. The mulberries rear the camel and daily bring them to the water holes. The camels can drink 70 to 100 liters of water at one go. These camels have interesting adaptation for surviving in the heat of the desert. The thick fur on top of the body of the camel provides shade and insulation. So it takes time for the external heat to enter into the camel's body through convection and radiation. The camel has better tolerance to heat, as it can increase its body temperature to as high as 42 degrees centigrade. This temperature would be lethal for human beings. More interestingly, camels can sustain such temperatures without sweating. Camels save about 4 liters of water by postponing the onset of sweating. Unlike camels, humans sweat much sooner and lose water from the body rapidly. Unless our body is rehydrated, it would prove fatal. The mulberries drink camel milk. Most of the time, it is their only food throughout the day. Camel milk has got high levels of iron, vitamin C, protein, and powerful antimicrobial properties. Research studies have shown that intake of camel milk is good for diabetes, as it results in significant reduction in blood sugar, insulin resistance, and improving lipid profiles. Camel milk is also good for autistic children. Recently, consumers have become aware of the benefits of camel milk, so camel milk sells at rupees 55, whereas cow's milk sells anywhere between rupees 30 to 38 per litre. India's largest marketing cooperative is now collecting 10,000 litres of camel milk per week from the Maldaris, which helps the Maldaris in leading a sustainable life. During harsh climatic conditions, when the resident livestock die, they are thrown away for the scavengers to scavenge. During daytime, feral dogs scavenge on the carcass. The heat of the day forces many wildlife species to conserve their energy and come out in the night. The lesser carnivores and other scavengers don't let an animal kill go waste. However, life is tough for scavengers like jackals, as the carcass is first appropriated by wild pigs. There is a very clear feeding hierarchy among the scavengers. First, the adult wild pig feeds on the choicest of pieces. It even hits out at the piglets. Once the adult wild pig has left, the piglets own the carcass. When the jackals come close to take a scrap, the piglets chase the jackals away. Even after the wild pigs vacate the carcass, there is no respite for the jackals, as feral dog dominates over the jackals. In situations when the jackals are feeding alone, they're very cautious about persecution from people. They immediately abandon the carcass when a light is shone on them. Increasing the intensity of the light very slowly, and then turning it towards them inch by inch over a period of time, makes the jackals feel more comfortable. Even then, they are very conscious and run away after taking a few bits. These scavengers perform a very important ecological role. They sanitize the ecosystem by recycling the precious nutrients like calcium and phosphorus locked up in the carcasses. Shepherds say that jackals and wolves predate on their cattle. Earlier they used to blame their fate. Unfortunately, these days they are readily retaliating by poisoning the carcass and killing the pups in dens, due to which their population is reducing rapidly. However, there is one place in the Rann where the jackals are welcome. In a temple on top of a hill called Kaladonga, a renunciate sadhu had started offering his food to the jackals. Years have passed. The sadhu is no longer there. The temple has become big and is attracting many visitors. However, the temple authorities continue to provide khichdi, a form of rice mixed with lentils to the jackals, when the sun is about to set. The person, after placing the khichdi, bangs the vessel, and the continuous sound of bells signal to the jackals that the food is placed. The jackals appear to have been conditioned by the sound in a Pavlovian manner. The jackals are fearful and are constantly on the watch. Even here, there is no respite from the feral dogs. Some jackals come only after nightfall. And all they get are a few morsels. Porcupines are a shy species and come late in the day to scavenge on the food and leftovers scattered by the visitors. It is a sad sight to find them chewing plastics. A once wild place is bearing the brunt of a sudden influx of a large number of people. The Rann is being impacted due to an increase in industrialization, mining, and agriculture. We, the human beings, are the dominant species on Earth. These mammals, birds, and other species don't have champions. We have the intelligence and the ability to take actions to change our wasteful habits. Hopefully we can preserve these places for posterity so that the call of these beautiful animals and birds can continue to resonate in this fragile landscape for years to come.